When you read an unfamiliar word or encounter a strange idea, your brain immediately and frantically searches for context. You look at the surrounding information to pin down the meaning. But there is a logic trap known as the hermeneutic circle. To understand the parts, you need the context, but that context is built entirely out of those same parts. If each requires the other, the entire process is locked. If human comprehension actually worked as a perfect circle, you could never break into it. Learning a completely new piece of information would be a mechanical impossibility. Modern mathematics offers a way out of this trap by changing the geometry of the problem from a closed loop to an ascending dynamic structure. In this model, thought doesn't start in a vacuum. It begins at a state of absolute maximum ambiguity, a condition where every possible interpretation exists all at once. From that state of total openness, the brain executes a rigorous, one-way mathematical algorithm to collapse that ambiguity down into concrete structure. This process is governed by a strict mathematical rule called monotonicity. In plain terms, monotonicity means that understanding more cannot make you understand less. Imagine an isolated piece of data. Without any connections, it could be interpreted in thousands of conflicting ways. But the moment you apply even a single layer of context, a measurable percentage of those incorrect interpretations vanish entirely. Uncertainty is removed. Because the operator is monotonic, that uncertainty stays gone. Interpretation becomes a guaranteed one-way descent toward clarity, where the information you lock in is never lost. Your mind runs this operation continuously. It applies context, drops uncertainty, and instantly feeds the refined result back into the system. This engine, expressed by the equation x sub n plus 1 equals h of x sub n, forces the spiral tighter with every rotation. The Knaster-Tarski theorem proves that an order-preserving monotonic loop like this cannot spin indefinitely. By systematically eliminating ambiguity without ever adding it back, the iteration must eventually hit a hard, immovable floor where no further uncertainty can be removed. In this mathematical framework, reaching a coherent fixed point is the required algorithmic outcome of the process. That floor is a fixed point, a state of perfect coherence, where running the data through another layer of context changes absolutely nothing about the result. A complex landscape of facts rarely points to one fixed point. Instead, it contains multiple distinct valleys or attractors of coherence. Your starting coordinates, your pre-existing biases, dictate which valley you roll into. Two rational people can examine the exact same data and arrive at opposite, logical conclusions because their mathematical starting coordinates pulled them into different attractors. This geometry creates a vulnerability. What happens when the system mathematically locks into a state of flawless coherence that is completely false? Conspiracy theories function as mathematical false attractors, basins of internal consistency that become difficult to escape once the mind settles into them. Once that fixed point is reached, the interpretive loop becomes immune to new information. The rigid framework predetermines exactly how every new data point has to fit to maintain that stability. If the brain's objective is solely to achieve a fixed point of internal coherence, this mathematical vortex can architect a deep, impenetrable delusion. To find truth, subject the system to domain expansion, introducing unchosen, external data. A false attractor controls its borders. Hit with unchosen data, its rigid geometry shatters. But a true attractor absorbs new data, stretching and growing more complex while maintaining structural integrity. This framework suggests intelligence is a dynamic fractal movement, continuously transforming raw uncertainty into solid structure. Truth remains the state of coherence that survives and holds its shape as the borders of your world continually expand.